Monday, October 18, 6 p.m. I'm looking at all my little papers here. Oh, wrong page. Jeez. Okay, now it starts. I think somewhere I'm supposed to, I wanted to remind people of our audience here. Of course, we're able to have people from here. We have people on Zoom, and I wanted to remind anyone who is here not to put Zoom on your device because it ruins our connection with Zoom for people from outside. So I just wanted everyone to know that was here. And I threw away the wrong pages. Okay, so 6 p.m. Okay, so I'm calling the meeting to order. I need someone to do the Pledge of Allegiance, and I will do that. Or Les, would you like to do it?
Okay.
Somebody here? Thank you.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Okay, so at this point, I'd like a roll call, please.
Councilmember Barnett,
Here.
Councilmember Felder,
Here.
Vice Mayor Dean,
here.
Mayor Agrimonti.
Here?
Thank you. Madam Mayor, can you pull your mic towards you a little bit?
Oh, all right.
Thank you.
You mean, oh, you even recognize me. You mean, you know it's me with this disguise. Thank you so much. All right. Thank you. So at this point, I am public comment for anyone. I think I explained that anyone here, please do not use Zoom from your device here because it ruins the Zoom from outside. At this moment, at this time, I'm going to go to public comment. And anyone who would like to speak this evening, we will start with our audience or and also Zoom. Would you like to say? You have nothing? Okay, thank you. So you can take it out to Zoom. Yeah, Zoom.
We have Gil Latimer.
Yeah, Gil Latimer, Grant Court, Sonoma. Good evening to the City Council. Once again, I'm here representing the Sonoma Valley Cannabis Group, an advocacy organization of over 200 members that has worked tirelessly over the past 4.5 years to help bring access to legal cannabis to Sonoma's residents. In 2016, 64% of Sonoma's voters of Proposition 64. 3 years ago, the city's consultant on the first dispensary process, HDL, published its findings on the impact Measure Y would have had on Sonoma. Though some of it is flawed, the upshot was that the city of Sonoma could support 2 dispensaries that could yield an annual revenue of well over $300,000 a year. 2 years ago, the Index Tribune polled its readers on how many cannabis dispensaries should be allowed in Sonoma. 52% of the respondents support 2 or more dispensaries. We all know the benefits of competition, that the benefits of competition include more revenue for the city, more jobs, more product choices at competitive prices, better services, and other benefits to the community. But aside from that, it's not possible to argue against fairness and compassion. It is incumbent on the city to protect and promote the welfare of its citizens, and in this case, that especially means providing those who seek medical relief the best options for their well-being to improve their quality of life. Thomas Jefferson once said, "The will of the people is the only legitimate foundation of any government." We urge the City Council to heed those words and uphold the will of its citizens in opening the second dispensary process as soon as possible. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Latimer.
No one else is raising their hand at this time, Madam Mayor.
All right, thank you. There is nothing to report from closed session because we didn't have that. Could we move forward to approval of the agenda? And I wanted to mention before we do that, if anyone wants to pull anything from the agenda for our next session, for this next group of, I wanted to let you know that staff requested to pull item 4.3, hazard mitigation plan. So that has been pulled. And, oh God, okay. So could I have an approval of the agenda?
I move that we approve the agenda as is.
I second.
Roll call, please.
So before you take the vote, just one, so are we okay? Staff was requesting we pull item 4.3, and the only reason was the hazard mitigation plan. We discovered the link to it online was broken, so we just thought we'd continue it to the next meeting. So you'd be approving the agenda with item 4.3 continued to the next meeting.
Thank you. Thank you.
That works for me.
That works for you. So,
I still second that. Yeah.
so did I do a roll call? No, roll call, please.
Councilmember Barnett,
Aye.
Councilmember Felder,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Ding,
Aye.
Mayor Agrimonti.
Aye.
Thank you. The motion carries unanimously.
Thank you. Where am I? Okay, we still have, all right, so we've approved all those. Okay, public hearing. I'm under 5.6, regular calendar, city council discussion.
Go back to
Yeah, where am I?
presentation, meeting dedication.
Oh, sorry, okay. Sorry, I've lost my place. I'm working with sheets again. I'd like to ask if there are any meeting dedications. Thank you. Thank you. Council?
Yes. Thank you, Madam Mayor. I would like to dedicate tonight's meeting to Anne Roland Needham Young. Anne passed away on October 8th at the age of 86. Anne was a longtime Sonoman who gave back so much to our community. After graduating from Holy Names College and starting a teaching career, Anne relocated her family to the Sonoma Valley in 1977, and she spent the next 42 years teaching at both St. Francis Solano and the Presentation School, both as a full-time teacher and as a popular substitute. Over the past 10 years, she volunteered with Four Paws Therapy Dogs, Valley of the Moon Children's Home, and at Presswood Elementary. Anne's Catholic faith was important to her. She was an active member of St. Francis Solano Catholic Parish and enjoyed spending time with her church community, including teaching CCD. She also was a fierce competitor in the Sonoma Bocce League Sunday team, a longtime member of the Wildflowers Garden Club, Diamond A Trail Restoration Team, Sonoma Garden Park, Bouverie Audubon Preserve Docent, and she was a board member of the Sonoma Valley Republican Women Federated. From an early age, she was an accomplished artist and continued her beloved watercolor painting throughout her life. Anne is survived by her husband of 22 years, Roger Jack Young, children Edward and Nancy, siblings Mebe and Herman, sister-in-law Barbara, grandchildren Cody, Kelsey, Kendall, Cassidy, and 5 great-grandchildren, along with numerous nieces and nephews. As her daughter Nancy said, Anne radiated beauty, kindness, intelligence, compassion, and was an example to all who knew her in the way she lived her life and the way she left this earth with strength and grace. And I knew Anne, and I always thought very highly of her. She was always so kind, and Sonoma will always miss Anne Needham Young.
Thank you, Mr. Kelso. I have Sam McCandless, 1936 to 2021. Sam McCandless died on September 8th, 2021. He began his career as a teacher and also was 17 years on the college entrance exam board in New York. In 1967, during his 17 years at the college board, Sam profoundly influenced many aspects of college testing in the United States. In 1975, Sam relocated to Palo Alto, California, where he directed the College Board's Western Regional Office before retiring to New York. Forever supportive of services of his grandchildren, he was referred to as Bobo, is fondly remembered for steadily dispensing trenchant life advice and for his enthusiasm for outfitting each with the right sports gear or recipe ingredients or a calculator or footwear or optional luggage for their parents. His family is eternally grateful to Primrose and Santa Rosa. He passed away from Alzheimer's. Sam is survived by his former wife, Toby Taylor, his daughter, Holloway McCandless, and married to Andrew Belt. Taylor McCandless, his grandchildren, Sam Frederick Belt, Sage McCandless Conlin, Alyssa Ann Belt, Emma Jane McCandless Conlin, Henry Seaborn Belt, and his great granddaughter Zephyr Bird McCandless. Sam has willed his body to UCSF, and in lieu of donations, he said, please get yourself something you need without delay. Thank you. That's Sam McCandless. So, let's see. Oh, golly. Okay, so now we're on to presentations. I don't have any. Thank you.
Madam Mayor?
Yeah.
I thought maybe, it's not a presentation. I thought it'd be good if I can introduce David Ruderman, your Assistant City Attorney.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's for the public, just so you know, the council will be switching to the first and third Wednesdays to have the council meetings beginning in November. And when we do that, what's going to happen is David is going to be your city attorney at one meeting, and then Jeff Walter, your current city attorney, will be the attorney at the other meeting. And so it'll be a tag team approach, and the thought pattern is Jeff is planning to semi-retire at the end of next year, so you'll have this transition period. So I thought it'd be good just to introduce David and maybe allow him to say a few words.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, yes. Thank you, David.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, members of the City Council. David Ruderman. I'm very happy to be here. Born and raised in Sonoma County, and it's great to be back here with the City of Sonoma. And I'm at your service. Jeff is going to be he will be your city attorney. I'm the assistant city attorney, but it's a matter of meeting coverage when it comes to the dates for the City Council meetings.
Thank you. Thank you. Welcome. We promise we won't give you any trouble, David. So, right. Consent calendar. All items listed on the consent calendar are considered to be routine and will be acted upon by a single motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless the members of the council or staff request specific items to be removed for separate action. We, as I said, we have pulled 4.3 as a staff request. So, does anybody have any comments regarding this, or does anyone take anything out?
I
None?
would like to take 4.2 out. I just have a simple question to ask.
All right. And Mr. Felder? None. And Mr. Barnett? None. Okay, so I will take this out to the public. You think we have the flag here or something? No one? Oh, I'm closing the public.
Mayor?
Yes, ma'am. Sir.
Since Councilmember Ding just has a question, can we maybe entertain that question and just take the whole consent calendar as a package?
That sounds good to me. Thank you.
Is that a motion? I would-
As long as that's not the one caveat would be if it was
Sure.
going to entail extended discussion.
My simple question is, have we received American Rescued and acted the money yet? Because it is the on schedule, and we will spill it. We have the $2 million, spill it. This year it's 1 million, and the next year it's 1 million. Yeah. Status. Yeah, thank you.
You know what? The funny thing is, I did ask your admin services director if we actually got the one half, because we get one half first and the other half later. I believe we have received our 50%.
Okay. All right. Yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I feel like real wealthy now.
So I'd like to make a motion to approve the consent calendar.
I
With the
second.
exception of 4.3, which has been pulled by staff.
Thank you, and you're seconding, Vice Mayor? Roll call, please.
Councilmember Barnett,
Aye.
Councilmember, sorry, yeah, I gotta go back and look. I'm sorry. Councilmember Felder,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Dean,
Aye.
Mayor Agrimonti.
Aye.
Thank you. The motion
Thank
carries
you.
unanimously.
So we're on the regular calendar, discussion, consideration, and possible introduction.
It's catchy.
Regarding city manager residency restrictions, assistant city attorney. That would be David Ruderman. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much. Madam Mayor, members of the City Council, as you know, the California Constitution allows cities to set reasonable residency limits upon employees where it is necessary for the type of work that they're doing, that they be located within a reasonable distance from the city in order to discharge their duties. And that is Article 11, Section 10B, which is quoted in the agenda item, the staff report for you. There's been quite a bit of case law on this. Well, not quite a bit, but there's been quite a few cases that have discussed these provisions and what it means to be reasonable. I think one of the ones that came out recently came out of San Leandro, and it related to firefighters and other public safety employees, and a request that they live within 40 road miles. So if you just go on Google Maps and figure out where is their house and where is the fire station, as long as they're within 40 miles of that, that was found to be a reasonable restriction on the residency limit. As you know, our municipal code currently contains a provision that, although it doesn't require the city manager to live there as a condition of appointment, it does require that the city manager move to within the boundary of the Sonoma Valley Unified School District within 6 months of appointment. So in discussions with the city attorney and based on direction from council previously, we've attempted to update that residency requirement to ensure that it is strong and defensible in case of challenge, because there is a reasonable basis to require a city manager who acts as the emergency services director to live within a certain distance from the city in order to discharge their duties in case of wildfire, etc. So what we've prepared for the council's consideration are two separate ordinances, both of which aim to set a equal distance or an equal time requirement for the city manager. So one of the problems with using the Sonoma Valley Unified School District boundaries is it's not every point within the school district is equidistant to City Hall. And there is a case that came out of Ukiah back in the late 70s where essentially they drew an ellipses, an oval around Ukiah, and they said our public safety employees have to live within this oval. And the court found that that wasn't reasonable. They didn't have a reasonable basis to say, well, you know, someone could live at this end of the oval, and it could take them 20 minutes to get to Ukiah. But if you're just on the other side of this part, it could take you 5 minutes, and yet you're outside the oval. And so they found it wasn't reasonable. So the equidistant aspect, I think, is helpful to make it a defensible requirement. So we've provided those to you in the packet. So essentially what we are asking the council is to consider adopting either a restriction based on miles, road miles, or restriction based on time, how long it takes to get to City Hall. And then once you do that, then we've got to determine what we think a reasonable time limit is or a reasonable mileage limit is. And I'm happy to answer questions as I can. Unfortunately, there's not a huge amount of black letter law here, other than I think this 40-mile road mile radius, I think is a very helpful barometer for determining what more likely than not would pass constitutional muster.
Councilmember Felder?
Just a question. We always have the ability, even if we put in a timer or mileage requirement, to waive it for a given city manager, do we not?
That's correct. We've added that provision into both of the ordinances so that the council has sole discretion.
So even if
to
we
waive it.
pass a mileage requirement and we can waive it if we find it suitable to do so.
Correct.
Thank you.
Councilmember Barnett?
Yes, thank you, Assistant City Attorney. So you think our current ordinance is unconstitutional?
No, I think it's defensible, but it's not the most defensible that it could be.
What do you think the most defensible minimum mileage would be?
I think 40 miles would be
Minimum?
Would be reasonable. And I think that we could be pretty confident. We'd have high confidence that that could withstand.
One question I have about drive time is, for example, depending on the time of day, coming from Marin, Highway 37, as our mayor who serves on that committee knows, it can be a parking lot. And so how could we do something with drive time when that can fluctuate so radically?
I think drive time is difficult.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't see any cases that relied on drive time for their residency requirement. The way that I drafted the ordinance was I said, if you disregard traffic,
Mm-hmm.
but you consider posted speed limits, what would it be? So essentially, you go on Google Maps, you click, I want to go to City Hall on midnight on a Tuesday, right? That's when the Google Maps is going to say there's no traffic.
Right.
What's the time? I don't think there's any other rule. I mean, unless you want to get complicated and say, you have to be able to get here within this amount of time, and or you're within a certain number of miles. But it is difficult.
Okay, thank you.
Jack?
Thank you, Dave. Give us a lot of background information. I think that right now we made some of the changes, make amendment, that is right, and improve our ordinance. Right now, and the time is changing, and we can do a lot of things remote. So of course, during the emergency time, emergency operation center also still is important. So right now, I think it's a good time for us to set up and a little bit flexible or favorable for our community. That is the good idea. And as to the miles or the time, I prefer my miles. It's more easy to accept, understand. Thank you.
Thank you. And it's interesting, living in Sonoma, we're all victims of Highway 37. So we do know, what times to drive on 37. You don't make a medical appointments at 1:30, getting you home at that rush hour of 3. So I would imagine city managers here would, that wouldn't be their normal working hours. It would be earlier. So I am in favor of the miles, and I understand, as you've offered, Bob, that it's something that could be waived. So that's where I am on this.
Do we have the ability to waive? I mean, I know it by practice we have been waiving it historically, but is that in our ordinance? I mean, would it be defensible to keep the ordinance as it is, but then add a waive mechanism? I don't think it's in our ordinance that we.
I don't believe it's currently in there, but it doesn't mean the council doesn't have that discretion technically.
Right.
So I'm looking to the council for, I'm closing, I'm going to open the public hearing. Open public comments. Well, this is not a hot item, I guess. Closing public comments, thank you. So staff, are there any comments from staff regarding this? Or David's answered it for us, is that right? You've done what you could? Right,
I've tried.
thank you. So, council? Anyone want to?
I have another question. This ordinance will be applying to the city manager. How about the other employees, for example, and the chief police and the fire chief? Or we have the different ordinance, or we can use this as a reference, or?
Well, the issue there, Vice Mayor Ding, is that the council does not have authority, as far as I understand, to hire or fire the chief of police or fire. So that's the difference. Obviously, those are positions where a residency requirement could exist, and there are a number of jurisdictions that provide, low-cost home loans to individuals in those situations because of housing problems in particular jurisdictions. But for this council, I don't believe those are options that it has based on their employment.
Good. Thank you.
So what is the pleasure of the council? Do I have a motion?
What do we want to discuss?
Well, yeah, I'm sorry.
I guess if we were going to pick one of the options, I would rather pick mileage than time
Yes.
because it seems more concrete, but I don't have that much heartburn over just amending the current resolution to have the ability to waive the requirement, so.
When you say the current the current ordinance?
Yeah, the current
Yeah,
ordinance.
I support that. I generally think it was put in there because I think it's important for our city manager to be part of our community, not just really for emergency services, but just, to be part of our community to the best possible. And every now and then we've waived it, and I would be more than happy to continue. And so adding a waiving mechanism, I think, would be appropriate.
Jack, you're good? So could I ask Mr. Felder, is that in the way of a motion?
I think you'd need
Since
to.
we don't have a resolution like that in the packet, does that mean we would have to continue or we could approve it, but then the resolution would have to come back?
Well, it's going to have to be an ordinance, and I think if that's the council's desire, then you would just need to give us direction, and we would rewrite the ordinance for you. But I just would caution the council that leaving the district boundaries does not solve the issue that there is some risk of it being unconstitutional because it's not based on an equidistant form.
Well, let me ask a different question then. What if we just said that you had to live within city limits, but you could have a waiver?
That's the same. That's essentially what.
Well, I
you'd be
mean,
doing
but the city limits is 2 square miles,
Right.
which is a little different than the school boundary.
right.
Well,
So there's a lot more risk with that.
Well, right, because the Constitution specifically says you can't be a city resident.
Right.
But you could live in Kenwood or Glen Ellen.
Because I think the Constitution is trying to say that it's not about necessarily being a part of the community in the city. It is about being able to get to your place of employment in the necessary time in order to discharge the duties that you've been hired to do.
Yes.
I'm just going to take a leap here, and we could just make it easy on everyone involved and say 40 miles with a waiver, and then we have a resolution that we can move ahead with tonight.
Well, at that point, I don't think we would need a waiver if we have 40 miles. I mean, 40 miles is like San Francisco or further, I mean, at that
Okay.
point.
Yeah.
I mean,
Concord
Yeah,
was
I agree.
about
Yeah,
40
I-
miles. Is what it,
yeah, I mean, I would,
I mean, we want to have something that's defensible. And
so you could do less mileage. I think that's more defensible than the unified school district. So I'm giving you I'm giving you a conservative recommendation.
We I prefer, you know, a little bit, you know, 30 miles or something like that, covered only basically, you know, all of Sonoma County and a part of, most part of the Marin County, 30 miles. And then in this way, we have the chance to hire quality personnel to
Yeah.
become our new city manager. And
So Kelso's looking up miles.
Yeah, at the end of the staff report, I tried to give you some approximations.
to San Rafael, that is here. Here to San Rafael, to Larkspur Landing, I think the 30 miles.
Yeah,
Oh,
I think it's about 21 miles to
Yeah.
downtown Santa Rosa from here.
Well,
So this is line drawing, and that's a quintessential legislative action.
how many miles to Larkspur Landing, was it?
Well, I had San Rafael about 30 miles.
Okay.
Road. These are road miles. So if you just go on Google,
Yeah.
yeah, that's where I'm at.
Well, I would say, why couldn't it be 35 miles? 35 miles.
Well, I mean, at that point, I mean, why even have any, you know, they could live in LA for all I care. I mean, it's, you know, I mean, the further we go afield, it's like, I mean, at that point, we certainly shouldn't have a waiver. I mean, I was thinking tighter with a waiver. Although maybe that doesn't make any sense. I'm just sort of, yeah.
I would agree with that. Make it 30 and have a waiver.
so yeah, I think the school district is like 8 miles north of here to 8 miles south. So what if you did like a 10-mile?
I was thinking 10
All right,
with a waiver.
that's fine.
So I think that is more defensible than leaving it with the unified school district boundaries.
Okay.
Is what I was trying to say.
Because that gets you to Napa and Petaluma, and then if it's further and we find the right person, like current, we'll do a waiver. Yeah.
Well, it sounds like a decision. All right. Thank you. Could I have a motion on that? Was it Kelso?
All right. I will.
We will. It's gonna have 2 readings.
So how would I mean, I would just move that we adopt an ordinance amending the Sonoma Municipal Code regarding city manager residency restrictions based on a 10-mile radius from City Hall with a waiver provision.
I'll second that.
All right. Motion from Mr. Barnett and a second from Mr. Felder. May I have a roll call, please?
Councilmember Barnett,
Aye.
Councilmember Felder,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Dean,
Aye.
Mayor Agrimonti.
Aye.
Thank you. The motion carries unanimously.
Okay. Well, that's it. We're almost done.
Through the mayor. Do we have to then, given our current city manager's distance, do we have to enact a waiver within 6 months?
Yeah, I mean, if this ordinance passes, then there will be 180 days that the council would have to enact a waiver if it's not already in the employment agreement with the city manager.
So we should take that action at some point with the council then. If we want to keep Garrett around.
That's good direction for staff, I think.
So nothing that affecting Gary, right? Oh, this one.
No,
Yeah.
it does. We have to waive. We have to waive.
Yeah,
the
we have the
requirement.
wave, yeah.
Oh, you did? Oh, all right. Thank you. Sorry. Does anyone have any? I have a couple of here, if you'd like to.
I have a couple too.
Yeah, I can't wait to hear about clean power.
Do you want to do the climate action?
Oh, no, thank you.
I'll take both of those then. So We had a climate action subcommittee meeting a couple weeks ago, and we, amongst the things that we did is we had a draft implementation ordinance for SB 1383, which is a zero waste type ordinance. We also had a draft climate action plan and a draft environmentally preferable procurement policy, all of which are being tuned up to be in final form, and we'll come back to the council when those are available. Also, we had a discussion on the role of the CSEC and commissioners and the staff resources required for CSEC, which was really, there was no decision reached, but it was a matter that felt should come back to the council for discussion. I also attended the Sonoma Clean Power Board of Directors meeting, which fortunately was on Zoom because it's up in Santa Rosa. But it was a very informative meeting. It's certainly an active and enthusiastic board that is promoting clean power, and I think they're doing a very good job. There was a resolution to create a geothermal opportunity zone, which effectively means that they want to expand the area where we're getting power from steam up in geysers. And since that is a good one to draw on for the evenings versus solar power during the day, that if we can enlarge that area, it gives them a much better situation to draw from power from that with the economical rate. So that passed easily, and that's about it.
Thank you, Mr. Felder. Vice Chair, do you have anything you'd like to report?
Last Monday, I went to Sonoma Valley Groundwater Sustainability Agency's community in a town hall meeting, just for education and information purpose, because Sonoma Valley Groundwater Sustainability Plan draft copy has been posted on the website. So we have the 30 days in the window period of time to make the public comments, starting from October 1st to October 31st. So right now it's the time for all the local residents, and even out of this area you can make comments. This is a historic event, and starting right now in the future, and we have the more efficient measurement to manage the groundwater, and then simply said, in the future we will start to charge the user to use the groundwater, so to prevent out in the valley from the over-pumping groundwater. Overall, right now, in the Sonoma Valley is an okay situation. It's not perfect. We haven't seen ocean and the salt in the water intrude yet, but the deep aquifer and is getting in the lower decline right now. Yeah, so right now our plan is for 50 years. We identify an issue 50 years. We take the action and projects for the next 20 years. So pretty and amazing plan. We exactly carried out for the state law that is the Groundwater Management and Act. So everything right now we are on the schedule, little by little. There is a waive and there was exemption for groundwater use. If that is the residential, and we can go to waive. If the average day, I believe that is, if my memory is correct, 13,000 a gallon below. If the residential could be waived for this regulation for the charging the groundwater. And also the last Friday, I went to Sonoma County Mayors and City Councils Association Legislative Committee because I'm an alternative member for council, Barnett. So we just share each cities, what's going on. And I didn't catch a lot of the thing from the state because I was my Zoom meeting, the camera and the technical issues.
Oh.
Sorry. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, Vice Mayor. Kelso, did you want to add something?
I don't have any, but thank you for attending that legislative committee in my stead, Vice Mayor.
So I attended, let's see, where am I? Sonoma County Transportation Authority, and I went with my hat in my hand to get money to actually put our project on the agenda. I mean, part of an approval, and explained the difficulties we've had here in the city with resignations of council members, new city managers. I apologized. I hadn't attended 2 meetings because the first one I attended, I was bounced right off of being vice chair. Logan Harvey was the former vice chair. This was, pretty. It was very exciting to know. I called Logan, asked him to call members to at least talk to some of them. One, I think, to ask about approving putting us on the agenda, on their projects in action or something. And we had a 13-0 vote, which means that they put it on with the other projects, which I think is wonderful. And I think there was a proposal of possibly some bike improvement trails, road improvements. So I think that was it. Also not part of my duties, but I attended the Future Library Facilities Plan because I'm on the Friends of the Library, and it's really pretty exciting, the things that they're looking at. And there will be 3 parts to this because it's a lot of input about what people feel about their libraries and what they'd like the future to look like. And my big issue, of course, is the issue of equity, because not everyone can put in a lot of money to their libraries, and which I think is kind of strange. But we need a lot of work on our library here, and we'd have willing people to take care of that. So those are my reports. And are there any other thing that somebody would like to add? No? You're good? Okay, thank you. And I think next is 8.1, future agenda items.
So maybe if I can make a quick city manager's report. So one thing, wanted to remind the community that this Wednesday you have your housing presentation, workshop or presentation actually in housing legislation, and that's at 6 o'clock in the EOC room just on the other side of this building. The other thing is, in consultation with staff, we talked about scheduling the joint City Council Planning Commission meeting for the housing element. And one of the things we thought maybe it'd be beneficial to schedule that in early December after your new council member is seated, so it'd be all 5 of you for that presentation. So that's what we like to do with that. And I think the other thing was, pleased to report that we were one of 25 cities in the Bay Area to be selected to receive A-Bags. A-Bag selected us to receive a 12-month free subscription to this online public engagement tool called Balancing Act. And so we can use that tool to go ahead and engage the community on a variety of issues, and includes all the technical support and the software for a 12-month period. So I think we're the only city in Sonoma County and one of, 25 in the Bay Area. So with that, I don't have anything else other than future agenda items if the council would like to share their thoughts on that.
Just one, in the meeting notice for Wednesday night, it said council chambers, so is it supposed to be EOC? Yeah. Okay,
The agenda posted said EOC,
okay.
but I don't know if the meeting.
Okay, we'll definitely double check. We'll just have some signs to make sure we direct people to the right spot.
When was the agenda posted?
I just saw it.
Okay, that's why I haven't seen it, okay. Okay.
Would you like to go, or, I mean, I certainly have mine, but.
Well, I definitely want to see us get some of these ad hoc committees going. And I don't know what that's going to take for staff involvement, but certainly the Casa Grande ad hoc, the Development Code ad hoc. So if you can take back to the staff to determine when staff is available so we can get those meetings scheduled as quickly as possible. And then I think we really need to get moving on the housing element. And so were you saying we're going to wait for the full council before we go to that?
Yeah, that would be our recommendation. The kickoff meeting with the joint council, with joint planning commission and city council, we schedule that for early December, and then your new council member will be seated by then.
Okay, because I'm getting very nervous that we've delayed that so long that we're going to be behind the gun and rushing to get finished. And I'm concerned about that.
So we can try to schedule it for November, but you wouldn't have your new council member seated.
I
That's
don't know how
really-
the rest of the council.
It's really the pleasure of the
but
council.
I think we're way behind the 8 ball on that one.
I'd say
I agree.
push it before December. Is that what you're suggesting?
Yeah, it's going to be a preliminary meeting. There's going to, and even if not everybody is seated on the council, they can certainly watch back to get informed.
Okay, so we'll go ahead and try to schedule something for November.
Okay, and did you have anything else, Bob? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with what Councilman Felder said, and I think at our next council meeting we're going to have the work plan for all of our priorities. Because obviously none of us like a very long meeting, but this is going to be a fairly short meeting. And obviously, we have a lot of things to do, so I think we only have so many meetings. We need to take advantage and really start getting some things done. Garrett, was there an update on? Obviously, the truck and auto site has been a sort of site of concern for many in our community. It's obviously part of the campaign. Has there been any updates on trying to sort of clean that up? And yeah.
So we did refer the matter to code enforcement, and he's actually meeting with the property owner tomorrow to go over the things needed to be done on that property. And then with regard to the ad hoc subcommittees for the council, the staff assigned to your different ad hoc subcommittees will actually reach out to you directly to schedule the next meetings.
Great, thank you.
Jack?
Yeah, I just wonder, maybe we can start our government grant, research and, prepare application. And because we do have this budget, we already got a budget, and also thank you for your connection with the California consulting company that is very professional. Yeah, maybe we can follow and then see anything happening, because we do have a very small budget, but we see what kind of the project they suggest for us to work on. Yeah, if not possible, if we got a chance, they need to spend more time to prepare the nice application, grant and the writing, and yeah, we can see, make amendment or make an adjustment, because that is really, really important. Thank you.
So maybe I could quickly respond. So with that, we actually have a proposal from California Consulting that I can actually enter into as my authority as the manager. But one of the council goals was did encompass grants. And so when we report back in November as part of the work plan, we'll give you an update on where we're at. Because I believe there's 2 grants right away that we're going to have them apply for.
Wow.
One's a huge one, so we got to work on the details. But we can report back to that in November.
Thank you so much.
Oh, sure, absolutely.
Rebecca, I did not receive the agenda for Wednesday night. I've looked both in the city email and my personal email, and I didn't get it.
And you didn't get the meeting notification
Not anything today.
from iCompass directly? That's where it comes from. Okay.
You mean an agenda note?
No. In the thing. So, okay, then we'll need to make sure, because you must have fallen off of the distribution list for some reason. So we'll double check that.
Okay. I haven't even looked. So I've scored mine A, B, and C. And so A, of course, is going back to our cemeteries. Kelso and I have what we feel is a staff member who has been responsible for this, so we're ready with that. We have some people who are actually from the cemetery industry who would like to work with us on this issue. So we really believe there are no burial sites left for people other than the niches, and some people, I understand, don't want that, and people are just, I think we'd like to go back to the original. Right, the original consultants that worked on this. They had some suggestions, but we didn't do any of it. So we really need to get going on that. Kelso and I and others have ideas about that. I think this makes it to the A thing list. I agree with Bob Felder about housing element. I think that's very important. The other thing I think is important because it involves safety is and I've got blown off by some staff people, and Garrett, I've said this with you, and I know that you didn't blow me off, but the amended parklet contract, and David, I'm happy you're here because of this. I don't even know what the agreement, I don't even know if it's a contract with the people who built parklets on our streets. But what has happened is accidents have happened, one very serious one, and one that was a minor, a car blew through a parklet and knocked everything over. But I asked the police if there was ever a report, there was none, and restaurants don't report them. So I would like someone to get a handle on this, to at least amend whatever agreement we've had with them. I think there was a group that worked together from staff that actually paid attention to how they were built to make sure that they were safe. But ever since then, I've been really kind of, not pleased with the rest of it, because I think it's a safety factor, and I hate these things. I don't want this to be above the fold in a newspaper. So is that something? How do we start moving on that?
Oh, I'm sorry. I guess I always misunderstood. It doesn't really take any council action. We just added it to either the encroachment permit or whatever document we actually issue.
Well, okay, then how would that be done? Through your office?
Yeah, it's administrative. We just add it as a clause, and then ultimately when the council talks about the parklets, but when we'll let the different parklets know,
Okay.
or the holders of whatever the permits are. But we just added it administratively.
Okay, so my B list are, and again, blown off. I worked with Mark Bodenhammer, who was wonderful. He moved forward about serving water in restaurants. I've been told it really doesn't make a big difference, but I'm cutting back on water. I'm sure everyone else is working hard on cutting back on water. And in the defense of restaurants, they're going through so much. And what I've been told, hospitality industry, that's just part of their hospitality. They're being a hospital by serving up water. But I think some time ago, we stopped serving water in restaurants because of the urgency of usage of water. And so we're here again, more serious. And I think Mark Bodenhammer said he designed tabletops. I remember restaurants wouldn't, so you'd have to ask for water. And now every restaurant I have been to, maybe 4, they still serve water. So I just wanted to let everybody know that. So the other, of course, mobile homes. Unfortunately, poor Garrett. I said to you that the city manager was the administrator for mobile home parks because of it's affordable housing. And the most important thing is many years ago, I can't tell you how many, but we had a huge meeting with people from mobile home parks. The mobile home owners, the property owners, flew in on planes, private jets, to be here. And what we said was, this is going to continue to be our affordable housing area. And what has happened to it, people die. The mobile home the property owners come in and say, it's so much trouble for you to sell your father's house or something. We will buy it from you. Well, what's happening is they're taking out the more affordable homes and building larger ones, getting more rent for property. And, that's what's happening. And it's slowly disappearing as one of our big chunks of affordable housing. So that's something that's important to me. And then, of course, my A list, of course, is Casa Grande. And I think we need to stop doing this little game of working with people. I think we need to, and possibly Bob, you and I, and Garrett can just go make an appointment with Bill Dodd and talk to him about it, or one of his aides. Just stop,
Anything to move it along, I agree with.
Yep. So I think I've gotten them all, but I think Councilmember Barnett was just showing me something about what happened recently on Casa Grande. And our biggest issue now, people know that there's no parking. And the issue there's no parking is because we have never gotten to this agreement with the state. And it's because we never go to the right people. And so these are the things that I'm interested in. I don't know where they fall in line with an agenda or where we put this, but these are just things that are very, very important to me. And, it's hard. Everything that's in here, we're the ones that get the feedback, and people are angry with us when this doesn't happen. So I just wanted everyone to understand that it's very important to me. And, so that's my list. Thank you. Anyone else have anything to add?
I have to apologize, Rebecca. I got a notification. I got thrown by the title. I didn't realize it was including both us, planning and design review, and it was lurking there all the time. So sorry about that.
And staff, some are here, some are not, and I know that makes it difficult for everybody. I mean, I understand why, but I think we still have to keep moving forward. I don't know how we do that, but I think we need to. I just think we need to get this stuff done because, unfortunately, Garrett, you've inherited all of this. This is years that have gone by with no action. So that's what's going on here. Thank you. That's it for me.
I have no comments this evening. I think you've heard from me enough. Thank you.
Good news.
Our last Monday meeting has come to a
That's
close.
right.
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah.
That was Tom Rouse that bestowed that.
That's right. Yes.
Well, I'm adjourning the meeting. It's 7:00. Thank you.